Whoa, hold on, don't click off. I know it's a long video. Hear me out. We just did an entire simulation, guys, of building an LS motor. I'm gonna do my best to timestamp stuff down in the description, and maybe YouTube will work his magic and pull it up into the video. That way, if you want to get to a specific point to see how to do something, it's gonna be there. It's gonna be quick, it's gonna be simple, and it's gonna be easy. Back to Pascal. Man, oh man, oh man. You know, after being here for a couple days, it's starting to finally set in. What's up, guys? Kai with TK Speed Trap. And today we are going to actually finally be getting back on the 77 Freedom Bird. As you guys know, it might not be the Freedom Bird. I don't know. That name's kind of wearing off on me. Anywho, it looks a little bit different than the last time you guys saw it. A couple months ago, we did like some BS cheap primer. We kind of like sprayed this firewall, cleared it. The videos didn't do so hot, but that's besides the point. My goal for this originally was to put a big block in here. And then I really dialed it in, and my goal originally was to see how cheap that I could make this run and drive. Kind of like how we did with the old Dodge. Big block doesn't mean cheap, okay? So, updating, we did another video comparing a big block cost and an LS build cost. And we pretty much decided in that video that the LS would be the way to go. I'm pretty much an LS guru. I say guru, I use that term lightly. I'm an LS hack. So, I want to put a 5.3 in here. A little camshaft, you know, a little work here and there. Basically what we're doing is we're simulating. Alright, so say for instance, you go to the junkyard and you get yourself like a, you find a Silverado or a Yukon or whatever, and you pull the 5.3 and transmission out, and it's junkyard status. Now, what can we do to prepare that motor for a camshaft or any other thing that we're going to do to it, like going in the future? That's what this video is about. Today, we are going to get a 5.3, possibly a transmission, and we're going to build it, and we're going to put it in this. Let's go check out our donor vehicle that we got for this. Now this is a 2004 Chevy 1500 four-wheel drive that runs and drives, and it is not the donor vehicle. Yeah, that's not the donor vehicle. That's my old lady's truck. She would literally kill me if I ripped the motor and transmission out of that. So instead, let's rip the motor and transmission out of the 66 C10. That's right, guys. We did a video on this truck where we put a 5.3 and a turbo 350. I think it was a turbo 350. Anywho, this dang thing is just ready. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pluck my 5.3 out of here, pluck my short tail turbo 350 out of here, and we're gonna use this top end for the time being on our build. So let's get started. That damn waltz, piss off. I had the right socket, I just didn't have the right pitch. I had a 12 point instead of a goddamn 6 point. But that pretty much loosens this bad mamma jamma up from back here. Go ahead and disable the speed sensor. Damn, I don't even got these some bitches in here. What about this side? Okay, this one I might have in here. Come on, you with the gremlins now, boy. Get out of there. Now, how did you get home back there? Now, if I let you down, what are you going to do now? Come on. You gotta come out. You can't stay here no more. You are being evicted. Now how in the hell? Guys, look at this. Look at this. Shut up. Come on. And I've already made the decision. We're gonna use that turbo 350 for the time being. We need to go ahead and get something going, guys. So like, boom, let's just go ahead and use the dang transmission. I already got the flywheel. I already got a half decent torque converter in there. You know, I already got all that stuff. So let's just use that. How about that? It's here at TK Speed Shop. We risk everything, including our lives. Okay, new day. All right, so boom, I went out. It was getting pretty dark. It looked a little bit brighter in here. I got us a light. Still no tripod stand, but I got us a light. Anywho, we've already got the LS in here, and it's time to go ahead and start disassembling it. Now I've already took the intake off, the wiring harness off, all the little small stuff like that. There's too many videos on the internet that kind of shows you see what I'm saying? So we're gonna get down to like the actual stuff. So the first thing that I always take off once I take off all the accessories is I go ahead and I break this crank bolt. Well, you're gonna need a 24 mil and a lot of beanie weenies. Yep. And I already can tell you right now, I need to put something on that. I ain't got enough beanie weenies for that shit. Yeah. Look at that. There we go. If you're wondering why this didn't turn, even though the transmission and everything's bolted up and all that, let me show you something. That right there is the ICT billet flywheel tool. Basically it bolts in where the starter bolts in at, and it got teeth on it and it keeps the flywheel from spinning. So if you want to do this easy, simple, if you're going to be doing this a lot, just spend the 20 bucks and get the little tool. It's two little bolts, they bolt in. It makes life simpler. Cherry pick a leg, break the bolt loose, you know, nothing special. You've probably seen me use this before. I'm pretty sure I've used this before in one of the first videos. I got this tool, 3-car puller. It's from OTC. Comes with everything you need. 6667. I've never had an issue using this tool. There's these little latches right here that you can grip on, or even these little grips on the back side. Yeah. So you can take a 19 if you're using this tool, and you're just gonna sit here. Okay, now let's talk about taking the top end apart. Now we're getting fancy. I got a little laid out. Now you don't need all this stuff. Theoretically, when GM made these freaking things, they're freaking awesome. You need a 10, a 15, and an 8. That's literally it. You can do all this stuff with a 3/8. Me personally, I like to break them all loose. Then after I break them all loose, I zip zap them, because we ain't got time for that. If you do got time for it, by all means. Anywho, so we're finna take this valley cover off, or this valve cover off. We'll come back to that valley cover. We're gonna take this valve cover off. It's 8 mils across the top. Yeah, buddy. Now we got individual rockers, okay? Those, you guessed it, are 8 mil. So we're gonna go ahead, break these loose. Now we're gonna break these head bolts loose. We got 15. Well, they're 15 mil. Dang, I can't English today. There's 10 of them in this. This is a Gen 4 block, so that means all of these bolts on the inside are the same size as the bolts on the outside. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 right here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. 10 of them. Let's break them loose. I kind of want to break them loose just like I did the other bolts. That way when I take the zip zappy to them, they zip zappy out. We got some 10 mils. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 up top, tippity top. Check it out. You see them up there? Yeah, those you can zip zip. They don't got nowhere near the amount of torque that these bottom boys have. So you should theoretically, watch I make a fool of myself, you should theoretically be able to snatch these out after you put the correct socket on. Get in there. Wobble baby, wobble baby, wobble baby. Yeah, these come right on out, see? Look at that. Liquid. This pan right here also doubles as a catch-all. Alright. I'll bring you guys back once I get the head bolts undone. Alright. That's one. That's two. Ew, that piston ugly. Alright, now that I got boo-boo on my hands, the driver's side, and this isn't water, guys, this is just for me. Any kind of lubricant, PB Blast, any kind of zinc something, I just been squirting crap up in there for like months now, so just to keep something in it, keep it lubed up. And we got the passenger side. So far everything actually looks pretty good. You would think that would be concerning. It is not. This is pretty much typically how you're gonna find an LS motor in the junkyard. I mean, this is pretty much as simple as it gets, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and ignore all of this, and we're about to pull our lifters out. What size is it? It couldn't be this 8 mil. No, it's the 10 mil. So can't do this one-handed. There we go. We're just gonna go ahead and pop these out. Let me set you up. Okay. All right, so what's supposed to happen is when you pull this tray out, the lifters come out with it. And we only got 2. Okay. Just gonna reach down in here. I said we're just gonna reach down in here. Want to know the difference between DOD lifters and regular lifters? They appear the same in a lifter cup. See how I'm pushing down on these and they're not going anywhere? If I push down on these, or if I pull up on these, they extendo. These don't do that. You can also tell because, look at that. You see the little rays right there? And there's not rays right there? These are the ones with the springs in them. But again, we'll check over all this stuff. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the rest of these freaking lifters out, and then we're gonna like lay them out on the table and we're gonna look at some stuff. Sounds good. All right, so let's do something about these pistons. Now you guys seen me before. I've used Seafoam. Seafoam works. So I got this stuff called Lucas Deep Clean GDI Gasoline Direct Injection. Think of it like Seafoam in a way. I don't know. It was on the clearance aisle, and I figured out I can use it for something. It was cheap. So, let's see what this does. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that works. Pretty swanky. Look at that. It's breaking that carbon up and I ain't even have to lift a finger. So I'm just gonna soak these down in this. I'm just gonna let this hang out for now. Let's do something highly controversial, okay? So boom, we just sat here and we gonna let whatever that was work these down, okay? So I done came with the PB blast that, and I've already blasted all of this, okay? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate each one of these individual pistons, the TDC of that individual bore. All right, so listen. These things don't really move as much material as you think they do. They do have different grades. This one is a low grade one anyway. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on my orbital on the low setting and we're gonna, okay? Okay. Let's see what we got. Okay. That's good enough for me. We're gonna do the rest of those like that. Time lapse. The amount of people that probably just clicked off this video or unsubscribed. But if you're still here, hey. So we finished. Okay. So that's the empty can. A brake clean, and we're gonna follow it up with some PB. Moist. Yeah, I'm not gonna show y'all me doing this, but that's pretty much get your deck surface as clean as possible. That goes to show you that that DA with the pad didn't script down into this, so now you know. Let me get this deck clean. Okay, so boom, we got all the carbon scraped up off. You can use a carbon scraper. If you watch other YouTubers, Marksky Repair, he has this thing called the super scraper. That thing's freaking awesome, so I would definitely go check that out, or you can just go up to your regular parts house. But yeah, so we got the surfaces cleaned off. All right, so all of this, if you're looking at the piston walls, Everything looks good on these piston walls, okay? There's no scoring, there's no ridge. The pistons are clean, there's no chips. I've inspected everything. These are all the telltale signs you look for when you're like building like a junkyard or you're pulling a motor from a junkyard. Heck, I always recommend it anyway, no matter what motor you get, tear it down. Because let's be honest, guys, we're all gonna hot rod stuff. So you're gonna put a camshaft in something. I mean, these are just the things that you gotta check. And tearing it down like this is probably gonna be your best bet. We still gotta go over all that stuff, but we're not at that section yet. So, I guess the next order of business is I'm gonna separate this transmission. We're gonna get our cherry picker. We're gonna come over here. I'm gonna snatch this LS off the stand. We will deal with him another day. And we're gonna get our LS up on the stand and we're gonna go from there. Yeah. Yeah, there. There we go. I got this spare cylinder head that I use as a glorified wheel chock. Let's see what this works. Ha ha! Yeah, buddy. That worked. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead on the record and say this now. This is the perfect opportunity to change your rear main seal. This is me changing my rear main seal. Wow, it's new. God. On a serious note, zip, 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 zip. Oil pan off. Front timing cover off. Put your seal on or buy the whole back cover. Hang it. Loosely thread the bolts. This will make sense. Loosely thread the timing cover bolts. Put the oil pan on. The oil pan has to be flat. Then you zip all this stuff down. Capiche? Capiche. Guys, if you're doing a junkyard build and you just want something to rat rod in or goof off in or just rat-a-tat-tat, hop to, then this is not even your concern. We'll change it when it leaks. Woo. All right, so new day, same problems. All right, so I guess the next order of business is gonna be taking this camshaft out. So we're gonna make this easy. Let me see what we're working with. You know what?
And you're probably like, oh no, I took the bolts out and it's still not coming out. Well, that's because there's two on the bottom on the oil pan side. Yep, this is an old one bolter. Alright, so let me tell you what you're looking at. Now on your traditional third gens, you got a 3-bolt setup. On these Gen 4 blocks that got the AFM and the DOD and stuff, it's usually a 1-bolt. We're going to be swapping a 3-bolt camshaft into this, and we're going to be converting this from a single bolt to a 3-bolt. Now, what they don't tell you on the internet is you can't just go get another 5.3, let's just say, a 2002 5.3 timing set. That won't work because this is a Gen 4 block, so which means this is a 58 reluctor or 4 phasers on the cam, 1, 2, 3, 4. On a Gen 3 block, like an actual Gen 3 block, you only got 3 of these, not 4. That's what the sensor in here is reading. So they make 3 bolts with the 4 phasers on it for this setup, so that way you don't have to do any confusing stuff. Or you can just do stuff the complicated way, and you do a bottom end swap and you swap to a 24 tooth reluctor wheel instead of a 58 reluctor wheel. We ain't worried about all that. Anywho, let's go ahead and get this oil pump off. This oil pump should be 10 mil. Nice. This thing is caked up. Well, I lied. This oil pump's not gonna come off until I take the pickup tube. The pickup tube's connected on the bottom. So for the time being, we're just gonna loosely thread one of these back into this, okay? This is for the guy that commented on one of my videos a long time ago when I was talking about like simple oil pump. He was like, oh, you forgot to do the pickup tube. You're right, dude, I did. We all make mistakes. No video's perfect, my bad. Anywho, let's go ahead and flip this bad mamma jamma over. Put you over here now. How you like that? How you like that? Yeah, we're gonna flip you on this side. So now we're gonna go ahead and flip this over. I need to get watch, oil just comes crashing out of this because there might be oil in this block. Maybe we should check that first. Yeah, let's check, see if we have oil in it. Oh man, and it's clean looking oil too. That sucks. That's right, when I fired this motor up, I put fresh oil in it. God dang it, we wasting oil. I'm glad I didn't flip this over. We would have had a big mess on our hands. Alright, I guess the first real order of business is we could probably go ahead and take off these motor mounts since we're already, you know, here. That's not even the right size. What was I doing when I put this together? Was I just probably guesstimating stuff? Mismatch bolts. Okay. Well, it's a quarter on this, on the hex head. Okay. I guess while I'm here, I'll go ahead and take off these knock sensors too. Why not? We're already here. So that's gonna be a 13. Another reason why you know it's a Gen 4 motor, knock sensors in the side. Whee! Finally into that light. If I remember correctly, these are all 10 mils. Let's see. They are. Okay, oil pan is off. That looks nasty. I don't know what that is. This gasket is new. You can tell because of the way that it is. That's getting reused. Okay. So now let's go back to the guy that was talking smack on the social media. You got a bolt right here and a bolt right here. On the OEM stuff, you do not have a bolt right here. There's only one bolt holding this on. So, yeah. And I do not think it's a 10 mil. I think that one's an 8 mil if I remember. If memory serves me correctly. It does not serve me correctly. It is indeed a 10 mil. So that's the oil pickup bolt on the back side of the pump. We got 1, 2. So after you remove that one, you got 1, 2. You following me? Those are 13 mils. Okay. Yep. And look at that. This is one of the most biggest failing problems on these freaking motors. See how I just pulled that out and there's no O-ring there at all? Yeah, there's no O-ring there at all. We're gonna take this pan off and look at this pan in a minute, but that's the O-ring down up in there. The freaking O-ring didn't even come out with it. Let's go ahead and inspect this while we're here. This O-ring looks pretty good. There's no visible wear or anything on it. There's no wrinkles, there's no tore spots. This O-ring's good, but always check these. Always replace these when you do anything to an LS oil pump. Alright, now I can take that final 10 mil out that we left up front to hold this in. Now the oil pump should come off. Yep. We'll dissect this oil pump later. We're gonna put it to the side. Alright. I'm gonna go ahead and take this windage tray off. The 13 mil. We need to see what our bottom end looks like. I don't have much faith considering how this thing already looks. But I mean, hey, we're here, you know. These bolts I'm gonna keep. These, you can reuse these. put these away from the rest of it. I'll just set them over here. So now we're on the bottom end. This is that reluctor wheel that I was talking about. Everything actually looks pretty good. These have what everyone like to call the Gen 4 rods, because this is a Gen 4 motor. Those are really good rods if you're trying. Ooh, get you out that light. They're really good rods if you're trying to like do anything boosted. The bottom end on these Gen 4 blocks are really good. And a lot of people pluck these high mileage ones out. I don't know the mileage on this one. A lot of people pluck these out of high mileages because the piston rings don't wear out, which makes them so ridiculous, you know, to boost and stuff. If I remember correctly, the original ring gap on these was like 22, 24. Don't quote me, but it's around that ballpark. But this bottom end looks pretty good. We're gonna run this bottom end as is, just like this. So the only thing I'm about to do is we're about to flip this back over. Excuse me. And we're about to take this timing set off, and then we're gonna pull the camshaft out. Okay. It's time to get this big chunky boy out of here. I do not know what size that is. Well, what do you know? It's a 24. All I did was guess. That's not gonna be good. I need to put a 24 on that so I can hold that. So that don't walk away from me. There we go. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate this back to TDC just for simplicity's sake. There we go. Alrighty. Timing chain. Cam boy. We're not going back with this. What I am gonna do though, is I'm gonna take this big chunky man right here, and we're gonna loosely thread him into that, okay? That's gonna be important. This we don't need. All right, so behind these bolts, or what seems to be bolts, this is our cam retainer plate. See that? There's 4 in total. We're gonna go ahead and spray that with some love. Then we're gonna take our little brush right here. Get down in there. There we go. Okay. So, I'm gonna thread that in there. We gotta get these out. Those are star heads. Nope. Maybe. They are T40s. Okay. Now, I've seen these break on people before. Any other time I would put the impact on it, but we're not impacting this. We just need to break it loose. Once we break it loose, then we put the juice on it. That's one. Okay, two. There we go. There we go. Now we can hit it with the juice because they broke loose. There is blue Loctite on these bolts, by the way, just so you know. Let's go ahead and take our valley cover off. This is going to be crucial for when we're taking the cam out, so we can cross that off our bucket list. Okay. If you want to know what I just did, I just took this flathead and I went right back here. I just bring you in. I do this with all of them, especially if I'm changing out a cam that I ain't gonna use again. Cause sometimes after running and this, that, and the other, they get stuck, or you gotta put a lot of oomph on it. But the problem with putting a lot of oomph on it is if you snatch it too hard or something like that, you run the risk of knocking your cam bearing out your motor. Now you gotta put cam bearings in. And if you're new to the LS game, if you look at your cam bearings, they are bad. Don't ever look at the cam bearings. But yeah, just put a flathead back here and just bump it. Anyway, back to pulling out a camshaft. Boop. This splash, I was taking it back. Okay. You gotta be real gentle when you're pulling this out. Okay? You don't wanna nick any of the cam lobes. Ooh, careful now. Careful. Careful. Last section. Camshafts out. This is something we also gonna look at when we go over all our used parts. For the time being, I'm gonna set this to the side. I can't stress this enough. This is stuff that you don't really see off the camera because I don't want to record all of that. But lube it down every chance you get. Soak everything. And like PB Blast, WD-40, you'll thank yourself later. Now back to checking out this stuff, because we got a long line of stuff we gotta check out. I got crap everywhere. Woo! Hey, I think I just broke my goddamn stand. What the what? Look at this. Came right on up off of that. Yo, what is this? Oh, I fixed it. What's up, guys? New day, and we're back. Now, today, I don't know, I've slept since yesterday. I think we was gonna go over some of these parts and give you an idea of what to look for in your junkyard motors. And then let's get some light going. There we go. Now let's see how we're looking. Better, much better. Okay, so we're back. I've slept since then, but I do believe that I said we was gonna go over some stuff to look for. So when you go to a pull yard or whatever, you got a guy that got like a motor for you, like an LS motor, give you some things to really like look at. This is how you know if you can just slap the motor together and just go, like throw a cam in it and just send it as it is. Look guys, a lot of these people take these 4.8, these 5.3s, these 6.0s out of the freaking junkyard, and they don't touch a god dang thing and just send them to the moon on boost. It's great because a lot of these LS motors, they're very efficient. I mean, they got good bottom ends, especially if you get a Gen 4, you got good rods, you got good pistons. I mean, you can throw 8, 10, 12, 14 pounds of boost at these with, you know, relative ease. Yes, our motor's gonna get boost, but it's not gonna get boost for a while. So right now we're kind of just like building like a little NA setup. But, so, well, that rag's not worth a dang now. Let's look at some of this stuff that people don't really look at, or some stuff to look at. And something else from the stand that's now broke. All right, that's fine. Oh, there we go. Okay, so first things first is camshafts. See if I can set you guys up in a better position for the camshaft. Okay. Okay, so this is the Gen 4. Think of this as like an LM7 camshaft. Think of it like that. I'm gonna go ahead and clean these lobes. That way we can get a real good look on what we're looking at. Okay, so on these lobes, you got your mains. If you can really see, there's a little bit of wear right here, but it's not bad. Then you got your actual lobes themselves. You can see the pattern where it was on the camshaft. So you see right there, you see that lobe. That's not deep enough to where I can get my fingernail in it, so that one's good. Just small stuff like this, guys. You're looking at pitting. You're looking at like excessive wear in your camshaft that you're pulling out of your motor. You see a lot of excess wear. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but just throw some cam bearings in it. We're not throwing cam bearings in ours. This camshaft actually looks pretty dang good all the way down. So we might use this as a prop for something later on, just to goof off with something, not put it in a motor. When I say prop, I mean probably tear it up and do something stupid with it. Might make a lamppost out of it. Who knows? But this camshaft's pretty dang good. There's no scoring or nothing on it like that. With this being a DOD motor too, so I'm actually pretty shocked. Every DOD camshaft that I've ever looked at least had some like excessive wear on it. But this one seems pretty good. So we can check that off our list. So next, it's time to get jiggy with it. So we're gonna look at some lifters now. And I'm about to sit these lifters up. And we're about to look over some lifters. Because these are a big failing point on these motors. Let me set you guys right there. See how that's looking for you. Okay, let's see. Can you see pretty good? Yeah, you can see pretty good. So, we got these DOD lifters. Come on now. No, I'm not gonna use these again, so we can just, there we go. Okay. Okay. So, if you've never seen DOD lifters before, this is that spring that they're always talking about that fails on these damn things. What they'll do is they'll collapse or some stupid crap like that, and they're not worth a thing. We're not worth a damn. But one of the weak points that I've seen on these DOD lifters, and I think it's a design thing because they're all like this. If you sit there and look at that lip right there, okay? I don't know if you can really see it. Look at that lip right there. Now watch that spring. You see how that spring goes over that lip? Maybe it's a design thing, but I don't know. I'm not a big fan of these. I always recommend, especially if you're getting a Gen 4 motor and you're getting a DOD, just delete it. Be done with it. Let's look at our lifter. Let's look at our rod. We're looking for pitting. We're looking for, you know, damage. This one's actually pretty good. I don't really got nothing to worry about on that one. Oh. Yeah, this one's pretty good. You can see the line is still good. So, that's actually surprisingly shocking. And are we going to be using these? Fuck no. I got the old oil pan down here. We're just going to throw the lifters in there. I wish I can find one that has some damage on it, because every DOD motor that I've ever looked at has had damage on it. Some freaking where. Now, while I'm going over these DOD shit, let's talk about these lifter trays. Now, I will say that these lifter trays, and the reason why people replace them is because the lifter, this positions the lifter so it doesn't turn in the bore. But these things right here, they do get loose. And the last thing you want to do is have this walking on your camshaft, or have it just automatically tweak and ride your camshaft funny. If you also did not know, these lifter trays for DOD motors are actually different than the regular ones. So they look the same from the bottom side, okay? But if you look on the inside, see the setup? I can literally stick my finger all the way through this side, but I cannot do the same on the other side because there's a stop in there. So you see how you see the grooves and stuff on the bottom of that one, and then this one's full through. So if you ever wonder why people always tell you upgrade your lifter trays when you're doing a DOD delete, this is why. And you can even see by design, there's a different design on them. So we're not using any of this stuff. Just want to give you something to look at. That way you can see for yourself. I wish one of these had, I mean, so far. Everything on these lifters seem to be good. This one got some scoring on it. See, perfect, 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 perfect. This is what I wanted to show you. So boom. If you, I wish I had some good light for that. If you look right there where my fingernails at, you could probably see the glare from it. You see that little line? That's wear. That's the kind of stuff. And that line is consistent all the way. Let me see if I can get you a better light source. Kind of feel like this is important. Boom. Okay. Yeah, that's better, way better. All right, see that line right there? Right. That line is right there. If you follow that line, it's pretty dang consistent. Bad lifter. Well, I wouldn't say bad lifter. Clearly some wear in it. Now that I've seen that, all of these can just go in there. So, pay attention to that kind of stuff when you're tearing a motor apart and you're getting ready to do a camshaft swap or whatever. This is just the small things that fail on these motors, guys. I mean, it's gonna happen. So, I don't have any damaged push rods, but what I can show you is excessive carbon. Look at that. All that carbon on them push rods. Oil change, oil change, oil change. They supposed to look like this. There's an outlier here. If I put this right there, you can clearly see the difference. Well, not like that. Maybe like that. You can clearly see the difference. This is excessive carbon, lack of oil change, buildup. They're grody. They're disgusting. So we're just gonna also throw those in the oil pan bucket that we got going on. Okay. Let's see. Ooh, that's bright for you. Now we got lifters. Well, not lifters, rockers. They're on a tray. I'm gonna go ahead and just tell you from experience that I've never had a bad one of those. So they like to say the needle bearings and stuff in them gets bad, and people want to do trunnion upgrades and all that stuff. You ain't got to do a trunnion upgrade. Now, I did a trunnion upgrade when I built the motor for the Monte Carlo, but I had a couple, you know, extra dollars to throw away, so I just went ahead and threw a couple extra dollars away. But you don't really need it unless you're really trying to stay into it. Again, this is a low buck, cheap bill. If you want something that you can get out there on a drag strip, you know, weekend warrior kind of thing, and romp on it, then the stock ones are perfectly fine. Now, if you're just trying to like do tandems or like live on the rev limiter or anything like that, then I might recommend a trunnion upgrade. But most of the time, people got to understand, and they got to stop looking at like Power Nation and all this other. People got to stop thinking about, oh, like peak horsepower. Like, people got to stop thinking about, oh man, I made 455 horsepower at 6,200 RPMs or whatever. 9 times out of 10, if you're building like a cruiser or a beater or something to like dick around with, occasionally go to the track, but it's going to spend 90% of its life either underneath the carport or on the road somewhere, bro, you're going to spend more of your time driving from, let's say, 1,000 RPM to like 3,500. 4,000 if you going into the passing lane, you want to eat. But you won't need all that fancy stuff, guys. Anywho, other than that, and you can clearly see the lack of oil changes. The lack of. So, and I think I've already covered this, but I always recommend replacing that. It's like 15 bucks. People say that you can bolt these back on and go with it. It's that gasket material right there that usually wears off. I just replace those. If it's cheap enough like that, just replace it. It's kind of like an old, let's say Chevy 350 TBI. One of the most common things that goes out in those motors is the little engine temp coolant sensor, and it causes like 15 million different problems to occur. Okay, you could be misfiring. Oh, it's running hot. Oh, it's doing this. Oh, it's doing this. And then you replace all the little small stuff, your PCV and all that shit. And then it come to find out it's that little boo-boo sensor. But people, it's good practice. Chevrolet, I make jokes about this all the time. Chevrolet put that sensor there just to make sure that you do maintenance on your motor, because you're going to replace every little small little $6, $7, $10, $20 little part around that bastard before you figure out it's that sensor. And then boom, by the time you fix that sensor, everything else done got a freshen. So it's kind of trolly, I'm not going to lie. But that's gonna pretty much cover it for our wear items. I mean, you got stuff like these sensors and crap. I ran this motor before, there was no problem with those sensors, but I'm not gonna use them because I had some extra coin to throw around. Stuff like this, you could reuse it. This sensor worked perfectly fine. I'm not gonna use it. That's, you know, again, knock sensors. I didn't even know if these worked or not, because when I ran this motor originally, I ran it with a carburetor. We didn't even need to worry about that. Speaking of engine coolant temp sensor, this is for the computer. I replaced these just because I got overspray on it. Now, if you look at that, that's gray, right? So off camera, it's actually been 2 days, not 1 day. It's been 2 days. So when I left you guys, it was when we was taking the camshaft out and this, that, and the other, and all that lovely stuff. So I spent the next day prepping the block. So I took off all the carbon buildup, all the gasket surfaces. I scraped all that stuff clean. I washed the block, or what I could, where I didn't get stuff on the inside. I even pressure washed the transmission, which we are leaving the transmission exactly like this, because I don't know about you, but the color combo tells the life that this transmission lived, and I think it is cool as shit to leave it like that. So I painted the block. I did it off camera. Do you have to do it? No. You're probably not even gonna see half of it when you assemble the motor together anyway, because of the way LS's accessory drive stuff are set up, but it gives me closure. Voila. So this color, that's that gray color I just showed you. This is called Ford Gray. I don't know, it looks sexy. I like it. I know it's not going into Ford. It's like, oh man, it's unsubscribe. They painted the engine, they painted a Chevrolet motor Ford gray. Okay, this Seymour stuff is what I use when I paint motors, man. This stuff is freaking awesome. I love it. So, I also painted the cylinder heads. I put old used spark plugs in there. Now, don't flame me for painting the gasket surface for the exhaust, because I promise you, when you put the gasket on and you put the header on or whatever, all the heat and percolation, it's just gonna eat that stuff up. It's gonna be fine. We don't care. We don't care. I primed all this stuff first, by the way, just to go ahead and let that be known. Everything was stripped, primed, and we just rolled with it. These are the old valve covers off the Monte Carlo. I just threw some clear on them. The intake, this also used to belong on the Monte Carlo when it was carbureted, so that's good. I tried my hand at some Carmelian color changing paint. That's gonna be the valley cover right here. That's good. I cleared it all If you guys have been paying attention on social media, especially like Facebook and stuff, you got these guys called Tropical Glitz. That stuff works pretty good, man. All you gotta do is buy their freaking primer. Prime it with that, shoot it with this. Now, they give you this clear, okay? This clear, well, the problem with that is I didn't get a dang lid, a top on mine, okay? So, I didn't clear mine with that. Instead, I don't know if I still got the engine, the can over here. It's somewhere. I wasn't gonna use that clear anyway. There we go. This is the clear that I use. I use the 2K Clear Glamour. This stuff is bright. It lays down super easy. It fills your lungs up, and you should probably go to the doctor and get checked after you use it. But you can see the reflection of clear. So 2 coats of primer, hour tack time. Well, I let it bake for an hour. 2 coats of base coat. I let it tack for like 2 hours to where it was completely dry to touch. And then I cleared it with 2 coats of clear, and I let that clear literally hang out in the shop in the heat for like 24 hours. And that's the result that I got. So, now that we kind of got all this out the way, let's go over everything that we will be using today. This. All of this. And we're going to be reusing that. All of this. Okay, so let's start from the top. So we're putting 5.3 and a turbo 350 for the time being in our 77 Trans Am. All right. So we got the swap flywheel. Okay. That's a part that I already had. You can, I bought literally 99% of this shit's off Amazon. Okay. We got new head bolts. I think these are head bolts. Yep. We got new head bolts. I got an extra block off plate for the oil pan. I already had that in stock. We already used that. We got Brian Tooley Racing valve springs, LS7 lifters, and chrome moly push rods, because why not? We got a 1 bolt to 3 bolt from Michelin Motorsports. This is what I was talking about. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it has 4 hookups for the cam phaser. It's a 3 bolt. It got the little LS2 dampener that I was talking about. And we're gonna pair that with an LS2 timing chain. We got a LS3 Camaro harmonic balancer. We got this super sucker for our intake, which I already had that as well. This is for the dipstick on the turbo 350 to work with the LS, because it doesn't have that little bolt hole. I already had that in stock. We got an oil and a water temp sensor conversion from ICT. I already had that in stock. It's kind of like I work on LSs all the time or something. We got oil pan bolts, because I didn't like the way the oil pan bolts looked with the kit that I bought, which I'll be revealing here in a minute. Timing cover bolts. They're nice. Transmission engine bolts. All that's from ICT. Oil pan bolt kit. ICT. That's that cam retainer plate that had the little gasket that I was talking about that we was gonna replace. UMI small block Chevy mounts, which we're gonna be pairing those with heavy duty ICT billet swap plates. So we're basically gonna bolt that onto that, and then these bad mamma jammas right here are gonna bolt on to that and then drop into that. So that's that. Spare plugs that I had for the heads laying around. I keep these. Coolant crossover. I've already had this one in stock. It's already been assembled before, but we just decided to, you know, reuse that one. Use spark plugs, because this is a budget bill, and I've already used these before, but they work. They're AC Delcos. We had to get an LS3 style dipstick for our swap pan. Permatex, because camshaft deserves lube. Or we could just spit on that thing. Speaking of spitting on that thing, Hawk's 3rd Gen was doing a promo in June, okay? It was the Hawk 2 camshaft. It was all over social media. It was like limited time, order one. This is that camshaft. Come to find out, Hawk's 3rd Gen uses Texas Speed grind for their camshaft. So essentially it's a Texas Speed camshaft, but it's Hawk 2 camshaft. So we got that. That's nice. We're going carbureted off the dump. So we got the old box that was originally on this. We know it works. It works perfectly fine. It's good. Along with MSD Gen 4 wiring harness. We know that that harness works perfectly fine. I did a short to where I fired that motor up originally before it looked anything like this. We used that wiring harness in that box to test fire a motor on the ground. Oil filter. We got a Chevrolet Performance LS2 set timing cover. It got the cam sensor. It got the seal in it. It got bolts. Got gasket. All in one. This was like $100, okay? But it was $100 well spent. We got multi-layer steel head gaskets because this motor will be receiving boost in the future. We got these from Michelin Motorsports. We got extra gaskets in case I tear anything up. This is stuff that I've already had in stock. Exhaust gaskets, stuff that I've already had in stock. Some more gaskets. Mellon's oil pump. This is a high pressure spring, but we will not be using that one. Some more gaskets. Spare harmonic balancer bolt. We got Mellon's LS2 direct replacement lifter trays. Okay. I was gonna be a cheat butt and just go over there to that Gen 3 and pull those out. Why not? Because I'm already this far into it, you know what I mean? We got a Mellon's oil pump. I believe that is a, I don't remember. M295. We got some assorted hardware, maybe some extra gaskets over there. We got our Holley air cleaner. We got our Brawler 750 double pumper mechanical secondary carburetor. I already got the log and stuff set up on this. This is a pull-off. We use this for something else, but it'll work for this. We got the stock windage tray out of that motor. We're gonna do some modifications to this one. You'll see that when we start fooling with that kind of stuff. We got an Amazon special. Okay, so that white box, we're gonna have to like really pay attention to that white box. That's an oil pan. Now, if you guys have not noticed, Holley's 302-2, 302-1, 302-3, those swap pans have like skyrocketed. They're like $500. Ain't nobody spending $500 for a swap pan. I love Holley, but you guys are like smoking penis. Okay? Penis, cock, whatever you want, you're smoking it. Because $500 for an oil pan? Anywho, this one came off Amazon from Chinatown. It's literally the exact same as a 302-2 pan, and it was like 150 bucks. It came with a Buki gasket, some Buki oil pan bolts, hence why I bought some oil pan bolts. And it looks a little sketchy, but we're gonna take some precaution when we're fooling with that one. And you guys gotta be here for all of it, because this video is long and it's gonna be lit, because this is all the stuff that you typically run into and worry with when you're doing stuff like this. Okay? Now, first order of business, since I got you here, is we need to go ahead, rip open that goddamn camshaft, give it a CRC bath, lube it up, and slide it in. Now, before we do that, I want to go ahead and show you something that I'm going to be using, because again, I work with LS motors all the time, so there's going to be some stuff that I have that you guys won't have. This is an ICT billet camshaft thing. Now, it took me building like my 10th LS to actually buy one of these things, just because, why not? Okay, so most of the time people take the water pump bolts and they thread it into the camshaft, and that's how they pull the camshaft out, and then when they go to put that camshaft back in, they use that as a handle. Well, I just went ahead and broke down and bought a handle. Okay, so don't flame me too bad. It's cheap. If you don't want to buy one, just use the water pump bolts. It's worked. Never had a camshaft failure. It's fine. You're not going to tear up the threads unless you just hammer them on down to Pound Town with the impact. Just take your time. Be patient. It'll be cool. Onward to cleaning that camshaft. Before we clean the camshaft, I gotta show you this. It's the small little details. Alright, that's enough joking around. Let's clean the camshaft up. I done played around too much. And we're just gonna nice. Turn them around. Nice. Turn them around. Alright. Now we're just going to let him go back into his home for the time being. This is quick dry. It works. Boom, just like that, your camshaft clean. We're gonna let it kind of like sit for a minute. Then I'm gonna bring you guys back and we're gonna start looby dooby. I'm gonna stand her up. And we're just gonna, my hands are clean, by the way. Okay, now that we got something going on, we're about to go ahead and walk on over. Actually, about to put you in prime time. You hear me? Okay. Now what I like to do is on this first bearing. I like to put an excess amount of lube. I'm gonna put the same amount of lube on my rear cam journal. And we're just gonna walk it in. Now, where a lot of people kind of goof at is me personally, that lube on that bearing has kind of dissipated a little bit. You hear me? So we need to put a little bit more lube on it, and we're gonna keep walking it back like that. Just take your time, carefully guide it. We're on the next journal. We're gonna lube it. Carefully walk it. We're on the next journal. No juice. Now, before I like to go any further, because I'm on the last load, you can literally come down here and add some cam juice on that back load that you can see from the inside. Because by the time you make it all the way back, that load was damn near wiped out. So we're just gonna slowly. Now, last lube. Okay? And just like that, the camshaft's installed. See how simple that was? That's a whole camshaft. And you can see from here, if you look down up in the journals, you can see that there's lube on every single one of those journals. And what I like to do after I get the camshaft in is I like to take a little extra lube and just go ahead and put some down in there. And now, the reason why I like to do that is then I can take my finger and go ahead and get something going on those bores for the rockers to hang out on. So I'll take my fingers and I'll rub it and I'll check and see if I got lube on it, which I do. And I do that again just to have something. You see what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna go from the top, just a little. That's just something that, again, you can never not have too much of that. I can't stress that enough. Now that we got that in there, we can go ahead and we can take our tool off. Okay, so we're gonna get ready to put our camera tanner plate on, which is this thingy right here. You can see the gasket's a lot more vibrant than that one. So, go ahead and get it up out the package. We're going to take our camera tanning bolts. And we're going to put a dab of blue Loctite on it. I need to cut that off. Okay. So we're gonna take a drop will do. That one gets 2 drops. Okay. Now we're gonna put our cam retaining plate on. If I could stop shaking. So that means you guessed it. Just gonna get the impact special. Okay. Come on, get up off there. All right. So now that we got that sorted, I'm gonna go ahead and tighten it down. I need me a little extension. You do not need to hammer on these. I can't stress that enough. So once it feels good, double check it. They don't put much torque on these from the factory because they use blue Loctite. You will break these bolts if you hammer on them. Boom. Get off there. Now that we got that on, we're gonna take our cam gear. I did go ahead and put looby-dooby on it because I don't like anything to be dry. And now we're lined up. So what I'm gonna do that I didn't do last time before I assemble this, had a guy cook me in the freaking comments when I was explaining how to do oil pumps, because I forgot to put this piece on, and I was just like, well, you don't need that. I'm gonna put a little blue Loctite on that as well. And it was just like he discredited everything I did in the video at that point, which, you know, that's okay. That is perfectly fine. They didn't have them in Gen 3 motors, but you know, what do I know? This is just an extra upgrade. I believe these are also, oh, they're 13s. I think they're 13s. Yep. Yeah, guy literally discredited everything I did just because I didn't put this on. And for that guy, if you're watching this video, it was a Gen 3 block, even though it had the provisions for these. I didn't put it on there. Motor runs perfectly fine, by the way. Thanks for asking. just like before. You don't gotta crank down on those. The blue Loctite's gonna hold it in too. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Now, let's go ahead and take our timing chain. This is the part that I don't like putting on dry, but we will access that damage later. We're not putting it on dry, so don't worry. Go over 1, 2. There we go. Dot to dot. And just like that, it's on. We're good. Now I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna grab my bolts. And we're gonna put, you guessed it, blue Loctite on these bolts. Now, even though these are ARP bolts, even though ARP makes their own stuff, they recommend to put blue Loctite on them. So, there you have it. It's getting blue Loctite. And just like anything else on the LS, it's either a 10 bolt, an 8 mil, a 13, or 15. You guessed it, it's a 10. We're just gonna, and I'm not hammering on this, just so you know. There's a torque spec rating for those bolts too. But I have also learned with working with LS motors that as long as you just don't go, like, it's not a crazy torque spec. So, just enough to turn it, you've done plenty. Again, the blue Loctite's gonna keep this in spec. You don't have to freaking hammer every damn thing to Mars. Just so you know. We're gonna line that back up just because I'm OCD. And just for the people that's watching that like to give me a hard time, give me a hard time. It's my favorite time of an LS build. The controversial part of, you guessed it, oil pump. We're just gonna give it something to chew on. How about that? Yeah. Now she ready. No, you can't even see it from this dang angle. Hold up. Okay. Let's try again. Okie dokie. Okay. We got it on there. Okay. Let's get our ICT bolts. Little blue Loctite. Perfect. Okay. Let the controversy continue. I can't stress this enough. I can't say how many times I've done this and never had an issue, but people on the internet are always gonna have an issue. But that's okay. Pay attention. Now here's the deal, okay? That pump looks like it's just bolted up, correct? It is not. It is hanging on by a thread. What am I gonna do in this scenario? I'm gonna back these bolts off just a little bit to where the pump has some flex in it, just a little bit, not much. See that? We want it to barely be tight. A little bit off. See how that pump has a little flex to it now? All right. You're gonna rotate your engine from the harmonic balancer one entire revelation. And what I mean by revelation is you're gonna see this hit top dead center on the compression stroke and the exhaust stroke. The good news is because of all of this, that looby dooby is getting worked in there. That's one. Boom. Now comes the part everyone freaking hates. Oil pumps installed. You can go ahead and let me know in the comment section below how much you just hated watching me do this. But I can't stress this enough. This is how Melons says to do it. I can understand if you got like a high horsepower application and you need to shim the pump. Other than that, bro, you don't need to touch a goddamn thing in there at all. Let's go ahead and get this top valley cover on so I can not have to worry about if something's gonna fall into the motor up there, and then we're gonna turn the motor over. Again, I am using the LS2 style block off cover. If you look on the bottom, there's O-rings in there. Okay? Okay. So we're gonna just, okie dokie. Now that we got this marvelous, this is gonna set the whole build off, because like, I don't know, it's the small subtle details. We got a great paint scheme going on right now. I went ahead and threw the old school style OEM adaptive sensor, because we're gonna try to run the stock gauges in that. We're gonna try. We got the one for the coolant temp sensor too, but again, we're gonna try, see what we can do. Anywho, now that we got this simulated, I mean, I guess we can go ahead, instead of flipping the bottom over, taking care of the oil pump thing, we can go ahead and get our lifters ready. So let's go ahead and get those ready. Whew, okie dokie. Had to take me a quick lunch break. And in the time of taking a quick lunch break, let's go over some things. These are our BTR lifters. All right, so when you get stuff like this shipped in, just like the camshaft, you have to spray them down. I took some CRC, just parts cleaner. You can take brake clean. Me personally, it is whatever I really got on hand. But your typical lifters, like your small block Chevy lifters, this, that, and the other, they tell you to clean them and soak them in mineral spirits and all that. And yeah, that's right. Off camera, I opened these up, I sprayed them down, cleaned them up, and then I put them in oil and I let them hang out in the oil for a little bit. And people say you gotta let your lifters hang out in the oil for like 24 hours or whatever. No, you don't. You don't. As long as your lifters are coated and you're not putting stuff in dry, you're pretty much good. But I do let mine soak for a little while. So once they got done soaking, I put them back up in this tray. And they pretty much just been hanging out in here. And let's talk about this right here. Where's my flathead? People's reused old one before, and that works on non-DOD motors, but it's cheap insurance to replace these. So I recommend replacing them. I'm going to take our lifters out after I go ahead and check the lineup. And there is a way that these are orientated, by the way, if you did not know that. Show you something. You see that little indentation in that block? You can't shove these in wrong. They go like that, just to give you a peace of mind. All right, now with them positioned down, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take our lifters out one by one. The bottom of this I have coated in assembly lube. There we go. Easy peasy. And just like that. Pretty simple, huh? Then we're gonna take our tray. And we're gonna guide them in. And just like that. That's pretty much how you assemble lifters. Just like everything else with an LS motor, you don't need to crank these down. If you remember, they're 10 mil. just till they feel good. It feels good. There we go. Just so you can see me. That feels good. That feels good. That feels good. My head bolt dowel pins. What I like to do is I like to put a little bit of ultra black on my dowel pins and just skim it. Hear that pitch change? That lets you know it's fully placed into the block. Whoa, 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 what just happened? Nothing happened, okay? I went ahead and I put the windage tray on because I didn't want you guys to sit here and be bored with that. But if I'm putting the windage tray on, why have I not did the pickup tube? Well, here's the thing. So, remember that yin yang boy that I was talking about, that yin yang oil pan? Well, if this is anything like the Holley 302-2 oil pans, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna put this pickup tube on and I'm gonna have to modify this in some way. So, let's see what we got to do. We'll revisit this. Now, it looks just like a Holley 302 pan. I mean, damn near identical. But we're gonna check out all this stuff before we even remotely get to it. But just for shits and giggles, I gotta see how it looks on it first. See the problem? If you look, this is why we have to modify. This pan is not gonna sit because of the windage tray. So, what we need to do is we need to cut this windage tray. Let me set this over here. About putting this back on the motor, file up the edges. Because the last thing you want to do is spend all that money, all that time building something just for it to find metal up in it. All right, now let's test fit. Boom. I almost lost you there. I don't trust anything that you get shipped from NT Wear. You feel me? So to alleviate that, so if it got a grooved end or a taper end, we need the green one. If it has a straight edge, we need the black one. That looks like a straight edge to me, so the black one it is. Now, before you start jamming this in there, so you can see it drip, I went and dipped this in oil. Never, ever, ever install these dry. Also, yeah, what I just said, never install them dry. So what you want to do is you want to make sure this goes in and it goes where it needs to go. It just spit right on in. It wasn't loose, it wasn't any of that. It just right on in. So now, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take one of these pickup bolts. I'm gonna go ahead and start it. I'm gonna take another one. You want this as positioned as you can get it. What I recommend is you run it down as tight as you can with your hand before you do anything else, because you don't want that O-ring to move. You don't want that O-ring to get pinched. You don't want any of that. You take this last bolt, because again, we want everything to stay still. And we're gonna run it down. I want to tighten it down, but I don't want it too tight to where I'll break it. Again, these are extremely small bolts. It don't take much to break them. Now that this is completely positioned, there's no clearance issues. Now I can tighten down the rest of these. Starting with this one. All right, so now that we got the oil pan on, you might notice that the front timing cover's on. Well, we have to get this front timing cover essentially in place with this rear. And the only way for you to do that is you got to put this oil pan on, okay? Put your timing cover on, zip these bottom bolts up, and snug these bolts. And once you got all that snugged up together, you can go ahead and put your harmonic balancer on and then take it all back off, minus timing cover. So let's go ahead and get this harmonic balancer on. Harmonic balancer, crank, whatever you want to call it, yeah. This is my LS harmonic balancer tool. Now, some guys freeze these up, or they get these damn things hot as possible and suck it right on there, and that works. The problem with that is the simple fact that if you heat this up, you run the risk of I'm losing my brain thought. You run the risk of messing up that that seal, the front timing cover seal. Okay. So we're gonna install this bad mamma jamma. And just like that, our harmonic balancer is on forever. For the time being, we're just gonna go ahead and take this bolt and run this bolt down up in there. Bolts in there. While we got the bottom of this oil pan pressed up against it. Once we get done doing that, we're gonna take the bottom bolts out, flip the motor back over, take the oil pan off, because we got some stuff that we got to do to that oil pan. As soon as I find my freaking battery, Pretty sure you don't want to sit here and watch me do this, but we've already covered so much. Now we're just torquing up bolts until they feel right. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on these bolts. I think I've already done this one. Yep. The oil pan can come off for the last time. Now we gotta inspect our oil pan once we take it off, because we gotta see does some stuff need to be deburred, need to be declearance. There's a couple things that kind of caught my attention when I was looking at this pan. Okay, so let's talk about some stuff that I noticed with this oil pan. Where the pickup sits, this is extremely flimsy, but it'll probably get the job done. If you look up inside the oil galleries, you could see that there's some edges right there. There's a little casting edge right there. You got a little edge right there. I wonder if you can see that from, yeah, I can put the screwdriver in here. You see it right in there. That needs to be worked. Here we go. That needs to be worked. That little edge right there needs to be worked. If you come this way, see that? That right there needs to be worked. I'm pretty sure there's no Loctite on this. There's a little material right there. I just knocked it off. What I'm trying to say is you need to take the time, especially when you buy cheap stuff like that. Like Holley, maybe one in 1,000, one in a million, whatever the case may be. Holley stands behind their stuff. But when you're buying this aftermarket stuff that's shipped from Chinatown or wherever the case it may be, check those things. We could have thrown that motor together and just been let bygones be bygones. And somewhere down the line, metal gets in the motor and bam, catastrophe strikes. It's why you check these kind of things. Now, again, I was not spending $500 when a year and a half ago, I spent $300 for the exact same Holley 302-2 pan for this, but they wanted to upscale the price by another $200. I'm not paying $500 for a swap pan. Okay, it's just that simple. When I can take the time to take something that was probably cast in a sister warehouse down the road, and all I gotta do is clean up a couple stuff. Come on, man. Anywho, I'm about to clean that stuff up on that. That way we can get this back together and we can move on. So I started knocking down some of the castings, and I done cleaned it all up. And just for shits and giggles, this windage tray in here for the thing, I took this bolt out. Look at that. No Loctite. And just to show you guys I'm not even playing, look at my hand. That bolt's loose. You can literally barely turn it and the bolts come straight on loose. Holley recommends you on their 302 pans, when you put those bolts in, put a drop of Loctite on it. So, once again, it pays to be knowledgeable and look at these kind of things so you can protect your investment. I'm just gonna replace these all with Loctite. Give me the peace of mind that I deserve. I don't even feel like. Okay. Let's talk about LS horror stories. 1, 2, 3, 4. These 4 corners, I like to use ultra black. I like to put a smidge right there. A smidge right there. A smidge right there. And a smidge right here. And we're gonna lather that, then put the gasket on. Okay. So, if that last little clip seemed a little bit weird, my GoPro had died on me and I was trying to squeeze that in, but it didn't even matter. Had some family come over, so went ahead and wrapped that up. The oil pan's back on. But like I was showing you, those 4 little corners, you see that little smush? Just make sure you get just a dab of black RTV in those 4 little corners. You won't have a leak. And I went ahead and I screwed the oil filter on. We went ahead and put in our block off plate. It ain't nothing but 2 little screws. They just bolt on. The stock ones have this. Well, I can show you. The stock ones have like this little goofy little piece. And with a gasket and stuff. But whatever. I had that one from ICT. Other than that, everything's done as far as the bottom end. So this is essentially a short block. Like extremely late. I got work in the morning. So the last thing that I want to do is I want to go ahead and put on these ICT billet plates, which are these. You know it's passenger side and driver side because it literally says it. Yeah, that one says driver side. So that's gonna mount right there. I need to go ahead and take this little bolt out right here because this little bolt is... But of course I'm gonna use Loctite. Gonna use Loctite on these bolts. Just a little drop will do. There we go. Now, just insurance, guys, just insurance. And now, these are UMIs for 2nd gen. And I'd pretty much call that one gravy. I'll come up to you.
I'm just figuring
You're
stuff
supposed to
out.
initiate. So what are we doing? You know? So let's
Oh,
start.
okay. Back
Walk
up.
up to me. Just walk up to me.
You are so stubborn, but I love you. What are we doing, babe?
Now we're installing springs into our LS heads. So, first thing you're gonna need is a spring compressor tool. I bought this one off Amazon. It's the same one you see off eBay. It says top. So basically, I'm gonna unscrew this. gonna come like this. You're gonna get this long screw and it's gonna go through the bottom. Cause you want this directional. Like you see how these valves are sitting right here? Mm-hmm. You want this to sit at the angle that the valve is sitting. So you see the valve springs are sticking out that way. This screw needs to be sticking out that way.
Ooh.
So you're gonna take this. This is your spacer. That goes there. Then you take your bolts. Don't use an impact.
Don't do what you're doing. Got it.
Back it off.
Is that only for impact users?
Yeah. Because you want this slides. You want that centered. You're going to take this piece. This part cups the spring, so that goes down. You're going to put a washer, a lock washer, and a nut. Don't use an impact. Okay, now you position this to make sure it is absolutely cupped. Tighten this down when you know it's even. And now you start cranking this down. That I will not use an impact on because
What'd you do?
So, take your rag. This will make sense later. And cup this. There's also a rag up underneath the valves. This will make sense in a minute.
Because right now it makes none. Right now I'm a little confused.
You see how it's tall? I'm starting to get resistance?
Yeah, I noticed the head is moving now.
Okay. I'm going to keep this cupped. Watch. I'm going to flip this over. See them valves?
Yeah. Ah!
Sometimes they don't always just, you know. Now the reason why we kept the towel on that is to keep our keepers from flying out.
Oh, kind of like a safety net.
I still lost one.
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah, I don't know where it went.
Go get your big magnet.
It went over here somewhere. I heard it go.
Love, you have a giant magnet that rolls across the floor. Good job.
Cup it better. Now, because that's uncupped,
So, does that let the springs come off?
pressure.
Lets the pressure off?
Yeah.
Ooh, look at me go. I know something every now and again.
Now that's all loosey-goosey. I loosen it up just a little bit. See how it kept one of the spring retainers on there, but it didn't keep that one on there? Mm-hmm. That's okay.
Do you want it to stay or you want it to come off?
It don't really matter, to be honest.
Oh.
We take our new springs. You got a fat end and this fat end goes towards the base, because this does this. So you gotta take this, sit him down on the base, sit him down on the base, put him back up top. Make sure that's lined up.
And tighten it down, no impact.
Tighten it down, no impact. I mean, I'm not gonna, you can probably use an impact. I'm not gonna sign off on it.
Whee!
And that's problem number one.
And what's that?
It's not holding the other valve up because the towel probably has moved from this position, which is okay.
We just gotta recenter it.
Yeah. So take your towel. Shove your towel up in your valves. That way when it sits down, it's sitting on that, and that means the valves can't go nowhere. And just tighten it back down. You should start to see the valve head stick through. See it?
Where?
Right there.
Oh, I was looking up there. But yes, I do see that.
Now, what I like to do is I like to take a piece of grease, put around the edges of those, because these keepers, and they're directional, by the way. So if you look, they cup it like this. The fat edge needs to be up top, not the thin edge. Mm-hmm. So you'll fit him there, fit him there. Fit him there, fit him there. Now when we back this off.
Go ahead. I'm just looking.
Watch out.
Oopsie.
There we go.
The click is what you're looking for?
Nope.
Oh. What was the click?
That was the keeper pushing over.
Oh.
And here's the part that scares people.
Oh, well then let me move away.
It's not gonna do anything.
Oh.
Look, you see how this has pressure on it still,
Yeah.
even though this is unloose? Take your flathead, come up to the edge of this.
Just bump it off.
Yep, and now you're pretty much
D-O-N-E.
D-U-D. Dun. Okay, so after that lovely demonstration of valve springs, it's time to shift our focus. So I've already laid the head gaskets on. These are multi-layer steel head gaskets, or boost friendly gaskets, or whatever you call them. I always buy these whenever I do an LS motor. It don't matter if I'm doing something for boost or whatever. They're a good head gasket. You can see right here where it's labeled 5.7, 5.3. They work. I get mine on Michelin Motorsports or Amazon, however you want to classify it. It does not matter. Now, it is time to set these cylinder heads on this so we can get more of an overview of what's going on. So I'm going to take one of them. That's one. What I am going to do is I'm going to take a loose bolt, just a random bolt. And we're going to drop a random bolt on there because I want to hold it down before I actually start diving all the rest of my bolts into it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take these head bolts. Remember, we got 5 across, 5 across, and the little ones. What I'm about to do is I'm about to go ahead and I'm about to put these in the hole. I'm about to go ahead. I'm not torquing them. We're just gonna get them snug, like they're ready to be torqued. And then I'll bring you back and we'll do the torque sequence together. Okie dokie, it's time to torque some head bolts. Alrighty, so now you get to join as we get ready to torque some head bolts. Now, this is the torque sequence. It's basically bam, 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 bam. So it's kind of like boop, 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 boop. You're gonna follow. Or you can just, you know, Google torque specs. Pretty simple, pretty easy. So the first one's dead in the middle. It's at 22 foot-pounds. All right. All of those are set to 22 foot-pounds. Next, we have to go 90 degrees on this. Okay, so let me show you something. Basically, 90 degrees is an L. You got me? So essentially, what we're doing, if you don't got one of them fancy angles of the torque wrenches, you're gonna start at the tippity top and drag it all the way. Do an L. So again, we're gonna do this at 90 degrees. So 1, 2, 3, go. That's 90 degrees. Start at the tippity top. I'm at the tippity top, 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees. And you're gonna repeat this process. Make sure that you're at the tippity top. It's okay if you gotta find it. It's okay. See how that's not 90 degrees? That's not 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees. That's 90 degrees. I'm gonna repeat this process, and then I'm gonna bring you back for when we go for the third sweep. Now that I've torqued all those to 90 degrees, one last sweep, we have to torque them in 70 degrees. One last time, so you guys will know, it's like a star pattern. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. These top row, you torque those last, but those only go to 22 foot-pounds, okay? So, follow the pattern, 22 foot-pounds. After 22 foot-pounds, you do 90 degrees. And after 90 degrees, you do 70 degrees. If you feel uncomfortable, by all means, go scrap your phone with an app and do the angle. Go buy one of those cheap degrees at the hardware store. If you don't want to deal with any of that, buy ARP bolts. I have ARP bolts in the money. They have their own special instructions. If I remember correctly, it's 35, 55, 75 done. So I've never had an issue doing it like that. I'm pretty sure someone's gonna chime in the comments, but hey, you can't make everyone happy. Just know that this is okay. Onward. If for some miraculous reason you're still watching this video, because this video gots to be longer than I expected, but I wanted to give you guys a welcome back treat since I've been gone forever. But if you're still watching, thank you so much. And if you haven't already, hit that button down there. Anywho, so bam, we got all the head bolts down. They're torqued. I usually like to take like a paint marker and mark them like the factory did to kind of let you know. That's just me being a little extra, but I don't know where my paint marker's at. But again, we put it on. Remember, I can look at this and tell you bam, 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 bam. And then 22, 90 degrees, 70 degrees. Then you torque all the top row down to 22 foot-pounds. Anywho, now that we got the heads torculated, I cannot help, because it's been on my mind. It has been on my mind. I need to put this intake on this just for cosmetics, just to make me feel good. Look, I gotta see what you guys think about this. There we go. Okay. This is a Holley dual plane LS Intake. And it's on backwards. Okay. Oh man. Oh man. With the super sucker. Oh man. And that just little bit of that showing. Ooh, I went in and threw the dipstick in because I didn't want nothing getting down in that hole. We're gonna have to take that back out when we put manifolds on, but that'll be in another video. Oh man. Let's just go ahead. Yes. 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 Yes, we're getting a little carried away now. But I think we deserve this. Dapper. You know, I'm kind of upset because I think this one actually looks better than what we built for the Monte Carlo. To be, I don't know, the colors, the color combination, like the Ford gray, and it's popping with the stock bolts with the little billets and the cast, and it's all and that little hint right there. It's kind of all popping. I don't want to tease you too much. I almost went over there and grabbed the carb and threw the carb on it just to go ahead and see what it looked like. But anywho, all right, fun's over with. We got to take these off because we got stuff to do, like valve train, because valve train is a lacking. So I had to go out because I damn near ran out of lube because of that hot camshaft. So I had to go pick up some extra lube because we're gonna need that. There they go. Right, we got chrome moly push rods from our Tuah Racing. We gotta get those bad mamma jammas situated, and we gotta get our old crusty boys situated. Now, you may ask, because I believe I answered this before, but no trunnion upgrade? I don't plan on sending this damn thing to the moon, guys. I plan on having a nice, fun beater that I can just beat on around town. Maybe it can be somewhat of a daily. You know, just to hop in it and go. And if I want to go to the track and scratch a 12, then, you know, I scratch a 12. So, and I think that's doable in this like thing. So yeah, I don't need that. I don't see myself shifting past 6,000 RPMs, to be 100% honest with you, because that turbo 350 is unknown. So we gave it the old Facebook blow off, which we just pressure washed that bad boy, and we're gonna use that beater torque converter because I live life dangerously, and why spend, you know, the money that I spent on that and not even, you know, throw a $200 torque converter at something is beyond me. Anywho, let's get these push rods in here. Oh, I forgot to take the intake off. Yeah, darn it. Off you go. I need room. Okay. How many of this is there? 3, 6, 8. Okay, what I like to do, I got some of that other lube before I start using any of that stuff. Okie dokie. So we're gonna take our lube and we just gonna yeah. You're gonna laugh at me at the way that I do LS valves, but it's the only way that I've never really had an issue. So, laugh at me if you must. I do not care. So, just like your typical small block Chevy, when you're going to lash your valves and set your valves and everything, you set at the top dead center, you do your intake, you do your exhaust stroke, all that crap. That's cool and all, but these LS motors, believe it or not, are pretty straightforward. So what I like to do is I like to rotate this crank in 90-degree increments. Okay, I rotate it in 90 degrees. And I like to come back and just keep snugging them up until I can't just really snug them up anymore. Does that make sense? See how that one's loose? I just essentially keep repeating this process until I just can't. Like, look at that. That one's perfect. I can't go no further on that one. Until it feels right, you know. That one can't go no further. So see, boom. Can't go no further. Can't go no further. Can't go no further. Can't go no further. No further. Can't go no further. No further. No further. This one's solid. Come around to this side. Drop that on the floor. Do it to this side. This one's hella loose. No further. No further. Okay. 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 Get off there now. Yep. Repeat the process again. We just went 90 degrees. Let's see what's changed. That ain't changed a bit. That ain't changed a bit. Nope. I done did this 4 times now, so I should be back at TDC. Look at that. You saw me tighten that one earlier. That one's good. That one's good. That one's good. A lot of people probably frowning at this, but this, I've never had an issue doing this. You can be my guest, do it this way. You won't have an issue either. Or you can get online and look it up. But I've never had an issue doing this. You won't either. But on a real note, guys, turning the motor over 90 degrees at a time, just like you would simulate compression stroke and all that crap. The way that these lifters are, well, the way that these rockers are set up on these freaking trays, these LS motors, is when you bolt them down, they technically don't seat. They don't seat until they actually hit the surface of the cam, like the push rod, the whole geometry is completely on the baseline. So theoretically, once you get these bolts tight, it's done. The problem with what I just did is if I didn't do it in steps, you see what I'm saying? If I would have just cranked on all these bolts all the way down, we would have had an issue. You see what I'm saying? Because now we're forcing something to go down. I'm not driving the bolts down. It's kind of like torquing the head bolts. I'm doing it in steps. You feel me? But enough about me. I'm still gonna put any sneeze on all these bolts. You get Sean, you get Sean, you. Ooh, most definitely you. I don't know if you saw any of that. Now we take the super sucker. I like the side that says super sucker. Why can't you just ever go on correctly? Or why must you fight me all the time? Do you just not like that side or something? No. That works. And then we're gonna, yes. And now, I'm gonna take that cart back off. So, it's a new day. And I might have went a little bit overboard last night when I was torquing those head bolts. Nothing's wrong, but it just kind of dawned on me like, I have the means to do stuff the correct way. Not saying what I did was incorrect. It was more backyard-esque. Anyway, the head bolts we're not gonna worry about. They're done, they're torqued. I know they're good, but I can't say this enough. If you're unsure about stuff like that, just buy a torque wrench. Today, after sleeping on it and giving it some thought, this video is already extremely long as it is. So, we're gonna put the coolant crossover on the heads. Gonna put the flywheel on. And we're gonna torque down the harmonic balancer. And just tie up some loose ends and call it done. I even went out and bought a digital torque wrench that do angles. That way, next time we do any kind of torquing or anything like that in any of the What I'm trying to say is next time we do anything torque related, guys, I promise you I'll have the preferred equipment ready. I just want to, you know, take responsibility. It's my motor, not your motor. Again, I've done this plenty of times. I've never had an issue, but I know how that can sometimes weigh on people's minds a little bit different. And my channel's not really a how-to, but it's to show you that anyone can do it, you know, and to have a little fun with it. So we're about to get back to the house and get started. Check them. It's torqued. Now, let's just see, for shits and giggles, do you guys think we should go ahead and try to drop it in this just to see how it's gonna sit in there? I think yes. Yes. We're gonna go ahead . It is in. Those mounts work perfectly. I'm gonna have to run those bad mamma jammas down. We're mocking up. I had to hit this one from the back. If you guys remembered in the video where I introduced this and we was putting a big block in it, somebody took small block Chevy frame mounts, they bolted them in, and then they welded them to the frame. So we kind of got to make it work somehow. So of course when you weld stuff heats up, moves, it tweaks, yada yada yada. Look at that ugly stance. But that was another reason why I went with these mounts instead of like your traditional clamshells, is because if I have to tweak any of this stuff, I can literally take those mounts, put it in my vise, bend it a little bit, heat it up, tweak it. That was the reason for going for those. So this looks pretty damn good. Like, I have clearance. It's a stock position. I have the ICT billet heavy duty mounts with UMIs. That Amazon oil pan has plenty of clearance. It doesn't interfere with anything. I have nice clearance for my torque converter and everything else, and that'll bolt up and that'll be just fine. It might lean back just a little bit more than this. It's in the air right now a little bit, but so far so good. Everything's looking good. I got clearance back here. I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to go back maybe. So I kind of prematurely pulled the motor out because I know I just told you guys let's put the coolant crossover on, but I kind of got sidetracked, and for some reason I immediately thought, well, let's just go ahead and pull the motor, and completely forgot to do this. So it's gonna look something like that. Take your long bolt, crossover complete. This Gen 4 motor does not have rear back ones, so, but sometimes you have like a 4-port steam system, and essentially a lot of people, there's controversy about this on the internet. They say you're supposed to run that hose when you convert them all together. They say you're supposed to run that to a port on your radiator. If you ever buy an LS swap radiator, I mean, I guess I can show you. You ever buy an LS swap radiator? Like the one we got on this Monty. There's a little port right there below the hose. That's how I got it ran on the Monty. Some people that don't want to spend the money on an LS swap radiator will take the water pump and they'll drill and tap a spot and thread in like a 1/4 MPT and run it to there. Some people sell radiator hoses that you cut and you slide the little piece in there and it has the bong in it. I've seen them work with the LS swap radiator, with them tapped into the water pump, and with them ran into the radiator hose. Your preference, guys, your preference. We did the LS swap radiator on the Monty. We are not putting the LS swap radiator in the 77. So who knows what we decide to do. So, there's really nothing else, guys, for me to do other than torque the harmonic balancer bolt to 235 pounds. Yeah, I think it's 235 foot-pounds. But yeah, after getting the motor back out and not having a real stable structure, and I don't want to put it back on the engine stand, I guess that's it. Cause there's nothing else for us to do. Oh man, it's been an interesting past couple of days. If you made it to the very end, I would like to first and foremost say thank you so much for being patient with me. Thank you so much for checking out the video, and thank you so much for being here. Because without you guys, I wouldn't do any of this stuff. Well, I mean, I would do this stuff. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but being gone for dang near 3 months, man, I was thinking about you guys every day. Like, man, I gotta get a video out. Man, I gotta do a video. And in the meantime, while having all of this stuff going on, if you haven't seen the last video I posted, which was to bring you guys up to speed of where have I been, man, it's been chaotic. So thanks. I sincerely mean that. I'm not even pulling your leg. Thanks. This is still a surreal feeling for me. It's raining outside, but we got so much, and don't worry, we're not going nowhere. We're not going nowhere. This is it. This is the final destination. We will not be moving anywhere for the next 10, 20, 30 years possibly. So we're here. I love you guys. I don't want to drag out an extremely long outro. There's no point. If you want to know how I go about building an LS motor or a junkyard LS motor, here's your how-to. Literally from us pulling the motor out of the truck to tearing it apart, minus the bottom end, because the bottom end's fine. Because if you're doing a junkyard build, you're not going to go into the bottom end, of course. Cam swap, heads, valve springs, timing cover, accessories, yada yada yada. It's all here in this video. I'll see you guys in the next video. This thing looks amazing, man.